All right, welcome everybody to episode 2 of The Old Noodle. I suppose we decided to stick with that name. Um, Today is Friday, June 12th, 2015. And again, this is Aaron. And
This is Luke.
all right, so now that we got all the formalities out of the way, as we failed to do so the first time, um, we're going to go ahead and jump right in with, again, I think we probably need to establish more of how the flow is. I think we got a little bit of feedback last time, and apparently there was a bit of our bromance that was a bit too heavy for some audiences, I think. But I just want to assure you all that, that's not going to be the norm, so to speak. I mean, I think we're going to talk about our everyday lives, but it's, it's not going to be an issue of, like, a continuing saga of how we met or things like that. So don't be afraid or upset if you feel like that's going to be the whole podcast. But
Just to get to so you can know us a little bit better.
Yeah, absolutely,
One time
absolutely.
thing.
Yeah, now that we've got that out of the way, I feel like we can kind of go on about our business. And so, kind of the theme for this podcast, we may not hit on everything today, is that we are going to talk about kind of some Xbox One features for the system, kind of my personal opinions on certain aspects of it and things like that. We're going to talk about the Halo ODST launch fail because 343 is so awesome. And then, we're going to talk more Destiny because why not, right? I mean, obviously we love this game and everything that there is about it. But and then I think Luke is gonna tell us about his last week. As if you all may have kept up, we didn't do one last week, and that was because Luke was away on a wedding venture.
Yep.
And I think he's gonna maybe run us through a little bit of what he did, maybe the high points at least. So,
Sure.
Yeah. So again, instead of just listing it all off, we'll just go ahead and start with the Xbox One. Some of the features that I like and that I utilize quite a bit are the snapping of applications. And Luke, I don't know how often you use this feature.
I mean, I do it for the friends list. That's about it.
Yeah. So while he limits himself to just the friends list, I use mine for the achievements, for also the friends list. I use it for like YouTube every now and again.
I know you use it for Skype, don't you? On the Skype on the Xbone?
Well, I use it. Yeah, I use it for Skype, but only to initiate the call. After
Gotcha.
that, I unsnap it. And for people listening who aren't aware of what snapping an app is, it basically allows you to view a watered down, almost like if you think of a mobile version or a mobile site of a website on your mobile device. It kind of does that and takes up maybe a third of, not even a third really, like just a small portion of the right side of your screen, and it allows you to do simple things like browse your friends list or see who's in a Skype call with you and so on and so forth.
All while staying in the game or watching TV, whatever it is you're doing with your Xbox.
And that takes up the majority left side of your screen. So you're not having to leave one application for another. You're multitasking, so to speak. So and this is also done on Windows 8 as well. Although I rarely ever use.
I would say I think the only snap, it was on Windows 7. The arrow, it's where you could drag your window to the left or right side of your screen, and it would automatically format it to be half of your computer screen. It's about the same thing.
Right. So anyway, with that kind of introduction, I think one of the issues is that I think Microsoft still has kind of a ways to go as far as how these snapped applications act. And I say that because a fair amount of them actually don't work as they're intended to. And my perfect example is Pandora, which is the free music
internet radio.
Right. And you can sign up and listen for free, or you can pay for premium, yada yada yada. So with that, I've been playing a little bit of Destiny on the Xbox One again because Luke just
I
got his
finally got it
copy,
again.
and one of his friends, Brett, which we'll talk about later on, also got it. So before we all three started playing, I decided to get myself acquainted with the Xbox One version. Not that it's a huge difference, but I went and played by myself, and to kind of pass the time a little bit, because I've heard all of Destiny's soundtrack. Not that it's about a bad soundtrack, but I want a little variety in my life.
Sure, gets old.
Right. So the only way that you can actually listen to Pandora at the same time as you're playing Destiny is you have to keep it snapped to the right side of your screen, which, in my opinion, is a bit daunting. I mean, I like to see what's playing, or how, in rare occurrences, how much of the song is left before the new song starts, however. But I don't really like it when it decides to not work, and some of its problems are that it will not scale down. The image will not scale down to what it's supposed to be in its snapped version. It still acts as if it's in full screen, therefore not giving you any information. You literally get a blue panel, a blue blank panel. You can't skip a song, you can't view a song, or anything above that. So it's becoming kind of an issue, and I had imagined that by now Microsoft or the developers for the Pandora app for Xbox One would have maybe noticed this by now, and perhaps come out with a bug fix or something like that. And but it's not just that. I feel that some of the other applications kind of have this situation too. And overall, the actual Snap feature will crash.
Yeah, I've
more
had that.
Often,
even just with the
not.
friends list, I've had that happen. I've even had it to the point where it actually doesn't just crash the Snap program; it actually crashes the game that I'm playing. I mean, that could be it's mostly Halo, but I've had it to where it actually has shut off, and I've had it actually exits my game as well.
Sure. Yeah. So it's had quite a time just trying to snap anything in general, and it feels like to remedy the Pandora situation, you have to not only start the application in full screen, because you have to select what radio you want to listen, like what, quote unquote radio station you want to listen to, which is just artist radio. But you have to then snap the application to get the music to still play while you are playing a game. Then if it does the blue panel of frustration, you have to go back into full screen, literally wait about 20 seconds to make sure that everything's on the up and up, then go back and snap it again and hope that everything took
hold.
Yeah, took hold and didn't screw up. So yeah, it's something that has been happening for a very long time, and I'm really surprised that Microsoft or Pandora developer, of the application developers, haven't done some sort of fix to this. But instead of blaming the app developers, I kind of want to point the finger more at Microsoft for this, because, like we said, the just opening up Snap to put an application into Snap mode. Sometimes Snap will just not launch.
Right.
And you have to give it a couple of tries before it'll actually be stable enough for you to choose something to snap.
I know you have the Windows 10 technical, before launch copy. Does it have snap features?
There are certain snap features with it. It's not the same. It's not entirely the same situation that you would see through the Xbox One or Windows 8, in my opinion. Now, of course, I'm sure other people have had a little bit more time to play around with it. My computer's actually currently on the fritz right now, so for it to even be able to do this, recording is a blessing, so to speak. But from what I've been able to mess with it, there's, because basically what Windows 10 is trying to go back to is more of the personal computer and less of the tablet.
Yeah, because that was the big fail with the Windows 8.
Oh yeah, it just didn't catch on. If they would have used the Windows 8 OS with tablet and mobile devices, all day.
Sure. Use it for your mobile. Develop two standalone copies.
Sure. And then they should have just, you know, grinded out the same OS for all I care. I liked how Windows 7 was.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I didn't hate, with that said, I didn't hate Windows 8, but I never used the OS for what it was intended for. I always stayed on desktop mode. I never downloaded Metro style applications, is what they were known
Yep.
as. I never did any of that. Or if I did, it was some Minesweeper Metro
Right.
app from Microsoft. Like it wasn't anything. It wasn't a huge ordeal. And so, you know, with that, I just stayed in desktop mode, and it's Windows 7 with small hindrances here and there.
Of Windows 8. You see, when
Yeah.
I got the Windows 8, I know the biggest complaint was the lack of the start menu. Which there's a program called Classic Shell that I actually went and downloaded, and it actually brings back the Windows 7 start menu. So when you actually click on your little Microsoft logo on the bottom left, it actually brings up the actual start menu. So I've never actually even touched Windows 8 for what Windows 8 is supposed to be. That's why I was
Right.
asking if with the Windows 10 if it was different with the snapping, because I know if you go into that tablet mode, if we're going to call it that, like the actual
Right.
Windows 8 start screen, it allows you to snap two different apps. So that's what I was asking if
It
you've
does.
actually played
Yeah,
with that.
well, well, the thing is that that's sort of a yes and no, because now there's no Metro pane
Mhm.
on Windows 10. That's gone. You have your desktop, and your desktop is your computer,
Gotcha.
so to speak. And you've got your start menu. Now, the start menu, however, gives you a little bit of that Metro pane styling to it. So you've got your interactive Metro apps that are still kind of working, like your friends list will kind of work in a cube and cycle
Mhm.
through pictures of your friends and things like that. If anybody's familiar with using Windows 8 and has seen things like that, or if you've got your stocks up there, it'll rotate through your stocks inside just that little
Start menu panel.
icon, so to speak, but it's interactive,
And it's all
So-
real time. So when you click it, it all
It's-
updates.
Right. Yeah, it's all real time. You can customize it. That being that you can move certain Metro apps above one or the other. You can actually still. I don't want to say make a folder because that doesn't seem right. You can group
Oh,
apps
okay.
together, and you can
Gotcha.
name your group like games, and you could have your Xbox One Metro app there, and
Okay.
and then or you could have an icon for Steam all in there. And
Gotcha.
just click on it that way. So that is the only part of Windows 8 that is, I guess you can say, is
Integrated.
coming along. Yeah, and everything else though is just plain kind of going back to roots with Windows 7. Now there are still enhancements to the desktop. So when I say that it's kind of going back to Windows 7, don't take that for face value. Don't
Right.
update to Windows 10 and
The
be
look,
like, okay,
the look and feel.
Right. It's like, okay, well, here's
mechanics.
Windows 7 again. It's not going to be that. I mean, you've got a notifications bar. Not really a bar anymore. The notifications will actually slide out to the right, almost
Okay.
kind of like we've been talking about with the Snapped application. It just kind of slides in and out, and it'll tell you certain things. Because, of course, with their still continuation of trying to do Metro style apps, some apps, like for your phone, will have push notifications.
Mm-hmm.
So you will get push notifications for certain apps if you allow it to
On your computer.
in that taskbar. Alternatively, you'll get system tray alerts as well. So say if like your
Antivirus is out of
Symantec
date.
antivirus is out of date, instead of it popping up a little word bubble saying, "Oh, you need to update your security definitions,"
Mhm.
and things like that, it'll actually just slide across as a preview of what that notification is. You can either click on that preview, or you can go down to the taskbar and click on that slide out notifications tab, and that'll show you all of your current ones as well as the one that just showed up for your security definitions, and then you can go from there.
Gotcha.
So one, and of course, like I said, with the push notifications for apps, a good example is using the Xbox One, the new, well, they don't call it the Xbox One app, they just call it Xbox again. So now using the Xbox app, if I'm online and on my computer and surfing and doing whatever, and somebody sends me a message via Xbox, it'll actually say like, "Hey, you've received a message from Gamertag. and if it's a text, you can actually view the text and reply.
Mm-hmm.
However, if it's a voice message, you still have to go to Xbox to listen to it.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know if it's just the software that renders the audio for Xbox is
Different.
sort of proprietary to the Xbox and not something that you can run inside Windows.
And that
but
might
it's
be
interesting
something
though.
later.
Well, that's the thing though too, is because once Windows 10, I believe, I don't know if they're coming out at the same time, but they have stated that their new OS for the Xbox One is Windows 10.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so of course it's going to be a very tailored
Sure, yeah.
cut of Windows 10 for Xbox. You're not going to be running Windows,
a full operating
desktop
system,
version
right?
OS, yeah. But it's going to be on the same architecture, I guess. So perhaps at that point, once your computer's Windows 10 and your Xbox is Windows 10, maybe we can actually start viewing and actually recording voice messages for people to listen to on computer or Xbox, which would be awesome.
Yeah, that would be cool. And I guess one last thing about this Windows 10 before we move on. If you have Windows 7 or Windows 8 or 8.1, there's that little, I'm sure everybody's been seeing it, that little Microsoft in your system tray where it says Get Windows 10. I don't know if you've actually clicked on that, but it's definitely worth a look because that is your free reservation when Windows 10 comes out. So make sure you grab that.
Yeah, and I would agree, but I don't get that because I'm in
because you're already on Windows 10.
Yeah. Now I will probably need to open up my laptop and give that a go and see if it pops up or anything like that. But yeah, where my desktop is actually already in preview, it will it'll pretty much do from now when I was in, because I also did the Windows 8 preview build as well from when I had 7, and I obviously still had to buy a copy of Windows 8, but the install time, I guess, was relatively shorter than what people doing a dry run would have seen.
Sure.
So, but with that, I'll probably have, the majority update from what everybody else will see, but it'll be a little bit less because I'm already running builds that'll be in possible final, or certain aspects of current builds being in the final. So
sure. And I know we were talking about the preview because you're on preview on the Windows 10. I know something else we wanted to talk about was the Xbox preview. Right.
So I always kick myself in the nards for doing this because I will tell you, and this is no joke, from when Microsoft or Apple or anyone, when they sit there and state to consumers or developers, this is for developers. Like, now, what I'm about to get into isn't necessarily for developers, but that's why I'm going to leave it out. So every time that I do a preview, everything that they state that can go wrong does go wrong. And again,
real quick, let's just, I don't know if we went over what preview means, so we might have confused some people.
Right. So the preview is basically you get a front row seat of real-time updates to a version of something that has not come out yet. In this instance,
for a retail copy.
The new Windows 10 OS. So while you're not getting a full version of the copy, well, in this case, everybody's getting the full version. But let's go back to my Windows 8 example. Okay. So while I was running the Windows 8 preview, this at the time was not giving me access to Windows 8 for free when it came out. I still had to purchase that OS and update it as anybody else would.
Okay.
Albeit that I didn't have to go through the full process. But
excuse me.
But the thing is you have to take these preview builds with a huge, huge grain of salt and probably some liquor along with it, because it will drive you banana sandwich in a lot of cases where, your computer won't turn on, or apps, or, applications like downloaded games or downloaded software will begin to not function correctly. And that's standard for preview builds, because this is basically made for developers to give feedback on how the operating system should work as a whole, and how it should work to tailor for
Their
developing for the
application.
developing of applications in the future, not necessarily tailored to like one company or doing things like that. And also too, it's to get developers familiar with how an operating system, in this case, how an operating system is going to act. And again, to go full blown nerd, this is kind of why Microsoft is giving Windows 10 out to everybody, because they want more developers on their platform.
Mm-hmm. I think they've lost a lot since.
They have, and I mean, and you can see it with the Windows Phone too.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm a and I'm sure I'll mention this a couple more times. I'm a huge Microsoft
Me
fan.
too. I always
I know
have
that
been.
after I've just already sat here and crapped on them for Xbox One features and Windows,
But
and
we
some
still
Windows
have
features.
it, and we still
That's the
use
thing,
it, and we
but
still
I
love it.
absolutely love them. They're an awesome company, and I feel like they are that golden child that is like being looked over
Mm-hmm.
in certain ways. Now, of course, I don't want to say looked over entirely, because everybody knows who Microsoft is, and they're big, they're huge. But as far as a developer, an application standpoint of view, they're really kind of so proprietary that no one wants to develop for it, because you have Android and you have we have Android for its versatility,
Yeah.
and then you have Apple or iOS.
For its complete,
For-
everybody can use it.
Yeah. Well, and I feel like that's more of a sheer popularity of it. Now, I know that I feel like people have said programming within iOS and things like that. Again, I'm not privy, so I'm not going to sit here and talk about or act like I know what I'm talking about. But
Right.
from certain people that have talked about taking certain Mac development courses and things like that, they've enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
And then Windows over here, they use C#, C++, and things like that. And I mean, I actually don't mind programming in C#, although programming as a whole is not, I can do it. It's not my forte. So but again, a lot of people like programming in Java, JavaScript, certain things like that, and Android does a lot of that.
Sure.
And that's being the versatile of it, and that's the thing. It's like Android runs on just so many different things, and it's not just and I actually was listening to a podcast the other night where they were talking about Android just as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like Android is not confined to mobile, because that's what everybody thinks. Everybody thinks of a cell phone or a tablet and they're like, oh, Android.
Android. Yep.
It's like, no, that's not the case. Like Android could run on, Android is running on a refrigerator that has a touch screen user interface.
Right.
Like that's it. It's not just confined to your Samsung Galaxy S5 or or your Nexus
the
7.
big smartphones out there. Sure.
Right. So
I mean, that's an example. I know that I use Kodi a lot. Former XBMC. That I actually use. I mean, I use Microsoft for my home theater PC, but I've actually set up for a lot of people a TV set-top box, and it's a box that's looks like a little jewelry box. It's very small, but it's all Android under that system.
Yeah.
And it runs it smoothly.
Yeah. So I mean, it's just kind of gives you a taste that Android's just seeped into everything, and same thing with Java too. Like just Java, the programming language. Like Java runs just so many different applications, runs on so many different devices that it's just insane to think about it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like we kind of got off on right. So bring it back.
Bring it back to the preview.
Right. So the thing is that Windows or Microsoft has made the Windows Mobile and just the Windows operating systems so kind of proprietary that no one really cares to develop for them, because one, there's not a market for it, because not a lot of people utilize Windows Phone. And I sit there and I say that, and there are large numbers of Windows Phone users.
Yeah,
but
there is. But don't
in
compare it. If you look at the base number, yeah, it's a lot. But if you look at
Yeah.
that number compared to Android or iOS users, that number is very, very small.
Right, right. Well, and the thing is, too, is what I was about to say was that those numbers don't even necessarily come from the U.S. A lot of them come from these other countries,
Right.
and the thing is that Nokia phones, because that's and I'm you know, I feel like I may be right here. I think Windows bought Nokia,
Yeah,
so
I
Windows,
believe so. That's
so
why you all
Microsoft
see all these
owns.
new Nokia ones on these
Right,
Windows
but the thing
systems.
is that Nokia phones are durable, and certain versions of them are stupid cheap.
Mm-hmm.
So all of these
Definitely.
other countries, like I want to say, like
I know it's big.
Argentina.
I know it's big in England because I see a
Yeah.
lot of. I watch a lot of BBC,
Hmm.
and you know how like our TV shows always have like the iPhone being
Right.
shown
Right.
off, or the new Samsung. I always see Windows phones in
Right.
English programming.
Right. But yeah, so it's just one of those things where they're in these other countries. They're easy to come by, easy to own, and as a personal plus, easy to use.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and that's the thing, and that's what in Microsoft's own right, they succeeded in making a phone that is very simple to use. You know, I feel like my mother would have no problem using a Windows
Well,
phone.
you had a Windows phone at one point, correct?
Absolutely,
I
yeah.
had the Nokia. I know they're all numbers. I think it was like the 920.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember paying, it was zero down, so
Right.
that was a huge benefit. But it had, if you compared, like everybody uses their smartphone. I don't care how many apps there are, but the most used thing, even besides besides texting, is the camera.
Yeah.
Everybody uses their phone as a camera now. That camera on that phone almost looked like professional shots, and I
Oh
don't get
yeah.
that anywhere close. And I even have a Note, which
Yeah.
has quite a bit of megapixels and stuff. But even with the quality compared to that Nokia was just insane.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, and I mean, I enjoyed the camera on mine. I think I had a like a 980 or something like that. It was a 980 because I got it probably months before the 1020 had come out.
And the
Um,
1020 was the one with the big lens on the back.
yeah, yeah, like it was huge. It was huge. But I'm not that into photography. So anyway, that's why Microsoft is allowing Windows 10 to be a free upgrade for 7 and 8.1 users
Mm,
because they want people to have their software so developers will make applications for that software. And I think that's a good move.
I think so too. I think Microsoft's gonna come back. Like I think they've been on the bench for a while and they've been trying hard. I'm not gonna say they haven't been trying hard, but I feel like this is a super good move for them, and we're gonna see them as another front runner. Because
Yeah.
I'm honestly, like, as big as Microsoft fan as I am, it's kind of disheartening to see just Apple and Android just take over the market when I know that Microsoft products are really good. It's
Yeah.
just you don't want to get them because you look at that, just like we were talking about, and this is the last thing, but you look at it and you're like, well, if I get this, yes, I have all these nice features and I know it's Microsoft, I know it's going to last me, but no developers are making anything for it. I'm not going to be able to, go to the App Store and get millions of apps like I can for Android or
Yeah, yeah,
iOS.
and I'll be honest. I'll be honest here. And this is really selfish and embarrassing to admit, but I held out for a really long time, and I kept lying to myself, like, oh, there's I don't need all these apps. I don't need all these apps. I don't need this app. I don't need this app, so on and so forth. And
Sure.
then I found myself, talking with other people,
Mm-hmm.
being on a college campus and talking and seeing my friends with Android or iPhones and showing me this app for that app for that, and they're like, oh yeah, I mean, like, don't you have that? And I'm just like, no,
Nope.
they don't make it for Windows Phone. And the prime example was Snapchat.
Yep.
And the funny thing with Snapchat is there was this one guy, and I wish I had taken down his name. He was awesome. He made these third party applications for, I want to say he did it for Vine, he did it for Instagram, he did it for Snapchat, you name it. And most likely he had done a third party, very good looking, almost port grade
Of Snapchat for
of
the
the
Windows
of
Phone?
the app, yeah, for the Windows Phone, and he was great. And always he had all of his apps had at least 4 stars or more. I mean, it was always,
Wow.
or I mean, I think maybe the lowest would have been a 3.5 somewhere. This guy was very good.
Hmm.
And so once I found the Snapchat app through him, I was like, oh, good. Like, hey, I've got this app. I'm in with the crowd, like very childish. And then, of course, there were certain features within that app that, of course, the actual owners and developers of Snapchat didn't want in there. Like, you could actually download, and of course, you can take screenshots on
The Windows Phone.
the iOS and the Android and stuff like that. At least I think you still can.
Sure.
This one gave you, instead of doing this weird rigor mortis thing with your hands for iOS and Android to take a screenshot, this guy just put a download button right on the interface. So as soon as you're viewing an app, boom, you just click the download button and there it is. Like you got it downloaded. You don't have to press and hold the home menu while tapping the up volume and then pressing the wake sleep button. And so the Snapchat as a company did not like that because, of course, that goes into privacy and all that type of mumbo jumbo legal stuff. So what they did is they shut them down, and they locked users using the third-party application. They locked their accounts, not permanently. You just had to go to their website and type in like a new password and all this other stuff, and then you got a nice little email that's like, do you know why you got locked out? Well, it's because you're using such and such
an unauthorized.
Well, and it had
his name and everything,
the developer's name and everything. It was like you were using such and such's application of our program, our application that is not by us. It is not intended for commercial use or whatever. Like this is. I mean, they were like, don't use it again.
Right.
And I remember that the first time it happened, it was more of a slap on the wrist. I was just like, okay, well, change my password. Hey, I still have the app.
I'm just going to go use it again. Sure.
So they let you, well, it was about on the market for a month more.
Okay.
And then after that, boom, completely gone. You could scour the Windows Phone marketplace and it was not on there. They completely had it removed.
So this was your jump off of the Windows.
Yeah, so it was one of those things where it's like, look, if these lovely people, to put it nicely, are not going to tailor to this market, and again, here's me here I should be the one making the stand and saying, like, I'm a Windows Phone user, and I'm here,
I'm making it work.
Yeah, like I'm here just as much as the Android and iOS. But what I ended up having to do, or what I guess ended up happening to me, was I got peer pressured or bullied even to switch back over to Android. And I do love Android. Do not get me wrong. It's not like I went over to Android just for one
just
Snapchat
to do it.
application. It was the principle of the thing.
Right.
And I think my scenario has come into play with more Windows Phone users in the past, and Microsoft has definitely noticed this.
Well, I mean, you're talking to one right now. I was the exact same way. I don't know I can't recall exactly one app, but I just remember, like you just said, peer pressured into getting off the Windows Phone, and then I didn't even go to Android. I went and sat in line for an Apple, the iPhone 5S, and I have an Android now, and I've used all three, and I have to say, like, I love features on all of them, but I would just really like to see Windows Phone get into the market more, because I would definitely get that in a heartbeat, because just for the whole smart home, everything connected. I have a Windows PC, I have a Microsoft Xbox. As you know, I'm into the whole smart home automation stuff. If I can have all my devices communicate through one system, that would be awesome. But instead, since I have an Android phone, I have to go through third-party software for them to all communicate. So I would definitely like to see the Windows Phone, get some more recognition, or Microsoft just in general.
Right, right. Well, and that's the thing too is they are, and I'm not a hater of Apple. I'm really not, but I've just never caught on.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is us being Apple users right now because I guarantee you sit down hardcore Apple fans
Mm-hmm.
and they're going to sit here and they're like, look, I want an iPhone 6 because it's going to talk to my Mac. It's going to
Right.
talk to my MacBook Air. It's going to talk to my flipping Mac or my Apple thermostat reader
In
that's
my
going to come out here later.
what do they call
Or,
iPad?
or now they can say that
My
it's
watch.
gonna talk to my watch. Yeah, that you can pay $10,000 for. But anyway, yeah. So I mean, this is us being Apple for a second on the mic, but on the Microsoft side. We're Microsoft fans, just like there's Apple fans. We're gonna
Hmm.
let them live.
Yeah,
Just
I'm not saying like
let
I'm
us do
not
the
saying
same
I
thing.
hate Apple. I just went and said that I stood in line for an
Yeah,
iPhone 5S, and like I've used Apple's products before. I've had a MacBook when I was in creative writing for school,
yeah,
just because of the functionality of what I was doing at that time. A lot of
right.
novels and
Hipster.
novellas and stuff. It was, yeah, the hipster look. It was very easy just to open up my MacBook and just to go. But
Yeah,
I'm not saying that it's not as easy to do on a PC laptop, on a Microsoft laptop. It's just as easy. The new Surface is just, I think they're trying to tailor to that very easy going, flip it open, you're ready to go.
yeah,
But it's just, we are maybe a little biased because we have Microsoft things, but I feel like we never have hated on Apple, but yet Microsoft does get a lot of hate, like when Windows 8.1 was released. How much hate there was, or let's not even go to 8.1. Let's go to Vista.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
Vista was a fail, a major fail. But if it would have been done by any other company, I don't think it would have been hated on. So back to your statement of the golden child, because they
Right.
were A plus all the time with XP being the greatest system ever released. Then they go to that, it was like this big fail, but it really wasn't in the eyes of an up and comer. It would have been like, oh my god, this is a great system, but because
Yeah.
it was Microsoft, they're like, shame on you.
Yeah, yeah. The bar was set much, much higher for them.
Right.
So yeah, yeah. So I mean, that's why Windows 10 is free, and you know we're just living in a Microsoft world personally, not the world or
Sure.
anything, but and so while we're here having fun, Apple people can go live in that world, and I think
Mhm.
there should just be more of a cohesive and well, and two, you're seeing also I think, and I'm pretty sure I'm correct on this too. I think Microsoft, their entire Office suite now has iOS versions out.
Yeah, you can actually get it on the iPad even.
Yeah. So see, I think Microsoft is starting to break down its barriers, and I know that Microsoft wanted to be its own little version of Apple. As I burn at the stake right now,
Right.
but you could notice it because iOS and Apple stuff is proprietary.
Hmm.
And I think that's what Microsoft was going for, you know. And I think now they're starting to realize, like, look, let's just stop being Apple and let's be us. Like,
Yeah,
let's
let's
just
be
be
Microsoft.
Microsoft and let's reach out to everybody, which
Yep.
I will say is much better than staying proprietary like
Oh,
Apple is.
yes.
That's the thing, though. They can stay proprietary and be completely content now because they've got
They got
such a
that fan
foothold.
base. Mhm.
Yeah, they do. They have the popularity and they've got such a strong foothold. But I'm more I'm more proud in Microsoft in breaking down those walls and trying to be its own silo and given that silo effect and basically just broadening its horizons and getting out there um, and just getting stuff done, just making everything accessible to everybody.
Sure.
But so we'll hop off on this because we've been going at it for quite a while. I was actually going to try to segue into the preview program for Xbox, but Again, that's probably just more jargon than everybody's wanting to listen to. But I will say, though, bringing it back for just a second, I am happy to announce that Microsoft did state that, well, I think it was Major Nelson that stated it, who works for Microsoft, that the music background functionality will be coming to the Xbox One console, I think, in the fall.
Okay.
And that preview members will be able to view it as early as, I think, around September or so.
Okay.
So, of course, I'm pretty sure, like, by that time, it's kind of stated as fall, and October's in fall. So we'll probably get to try it out a month or so before it gets put into an actual
System
release
update.
build.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So now that we're talking back on Xbox, so I think we mentioned two weeks ago that Halo ODST had come out as a peace offering, to consumers for what a shitty game Halo the Master Chief Collection was at launch. But guess what? Halo ODST still sucked.
Yep.
The people were actually reporting download failures. They would get it to about 99%, and then it would hang forever. Most folks had to restart the entire download. Install, and
which was also a problem on the digital download of the Master Chief Collection.
Yes.
So it was the same thing again. But we did not experience that. I personally did not experience it.
Right. I had no problems. I was one of the lucky few
that downloaded fine.
Right, downloaded fine. So we get into the game and we're like, look, multiplayer screwing up for us again today, which it was. This is no joke. Like, multiplayer, I can't remember exactly what was happening, but it just, matches weren't loading. You're just your regular day on Master Chief Collection. So I was like, look, well, let's try Halo ODST real quick. And of course, Luke is like, no, it's going to be garbage. It's going to be, why are you even trying?
And yeah, because a quick background, the multiplayer for the campaign, so this is like the story mode of the game, can be played with a friend or without. So we tried playing the original Halos again together, and there was like a 1 to 2 second delay for the person that was joining his or her friend. So I was very hesitant on trying ODST for that reason. But I finally got on, and the same exact problem existed, only worse.
Right. So here's the thing with, and I don't know what it is with 343, and you noticed it in Halo 4 as a standalone game, because 343 did Halo 4. For those of you who aren't aware or care. I don't know what their problem is with their netcode. And I'm going to be, this is not from a, high and mighty, I went to college and learned programming. This is completely from a consumer perspective. The netcode sucks. It's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. And basically, like, the netcode is essentially how client side, how the game reacts online with other client machines, or to put it simply, how my version of the game runs in real time with Luke's version of the game.
Right.
So how the game is talking to each other. So it's terrible. Battlefield kind of had a weird run at this. Again, I know I'm speaking of something other than Halo and Destiny, but Battlefield 4, I guess it was, ran into this, and they updated their netcode. But the thing is that it was nowhere near as bad as what people experience playing co-op story for one for Halo 4 back on Xbox 360, and all Halos that are within the Master Chief Collection on Xbox One.
And then when Battlefield was released, I know it had one of the worst launches with a lot of bugs and stuff. But how long did it take them to get that fixed? Halo the Master Chief Collection has been out since November of 2014. It is now June of 2015.
Right. Well, and here's the thing. It's like, because I'll kind of crap on EA as well. I don't like EA. With that said, I'm still going to buy their stuff. But the thing is that, like Luke said, Battlefield 4 had also a terrible release, but it still played better than the version of Master Chief Collection that is out right now.
Right.
If that says anything. So for a game such as Battlefield 4 that was highly respectable,
and then got
respected as Halo,
all over the news,
got crapped on hardcore when it released, and it's still better than 4 games put together as one.
Ported games. So these aren't new games; these are ported games.
Yeah. So, if that goes to tell you, but 343, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to sit here and say that I want to take the job of writing netcode for this company, but they need to find somebody who bloody can, because whoever is over there right now is notorious. And that's the thing, they don't even acknowledge it. That's what's scary. They don't acknowledge that their online co-op experience is garbage.
Mm-mm.
And it's terrible.
They're still trying to sell it as, get this game, play it with your friends for nostalgia. You can't advertise this if you honestly can't do what you're actually saying in your advertisement.
Yeah.
Because the whole nostalgia feeling is, going back and playing through these stories that I loved as a kid with my friends now. Because back in the day, you had to come over to my house, but now we can do it online. But we can't do it online.
Right. Right. So you're having consumers just frustratingly, forcefully playing through this terrible co-op experience just for the sake of being able to play, and that's not how it should be.
Right.
And but of course that was just basically bringing that stuff to light. And so and here's another big slap in the face with ODST as well. We then Luke actually discovered this. He then went to the marketplace.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you why we did that here in a second. But when he went to the marketplace to find it, they were selling it for $5.
$5.
And here's the thing. Yes, it is a port. Yes, it is ODST, which was kind of a lesser known, lesser respected Halo title. But as this being a makeup or a peace offering to people who spent $60 on a title that was not even worthy of money.
Yeah, and not even just buying the title, but you had to play the game after December 14th. So after a month of release, you still had to own the game. So you couldn't have already taken it back to your retailer. You still had to own the game, log in and play it after December 14th. If you did that, you were sent this free Halo ODST download code.
Right. And but hey, guess what? If you're not, then
that's fine. Just spend $5.
You can spend $5, and you can be just as miserable as the rest of us. So granted, I mean, yeah, at least I didn't get to spend $5 and be in the same place that I am now. But I just would have pictured a little bit more exclusivity for hardcore following. For the hardcore following that Halo has right. And to be let down so badly, only to be let down again.
Yeah, and, it was. I think it would have been better if they wouldn't have done anything. If they just would have put out a public statement on their forum saying sorry. But when you come out with compensation, as they're calling it, if you go to the Halo Waypoint forums, it's compensation.
Right.
When they throw this at you, and then you see that it's actually offered to everybody for only, like we said, $5. It's almost just like. It makes you hate 343 even more.
I don't like them as a company.
I don't
like them. I believe that and again, this is consumer speaking. They don't know what they're doing.
They don't.
I
know ports can be tricky. I understand that.
But here's the thing.
But we're porting
here's the thing. I'm sorry, and it's just you say like ports are tricky. Apparently not to literally every other game company that is porting every last-gen game over to these new consoles.
Right.
And they're better and beautiful than their previous
not even just from previous console to new console. There is video games released for console that are ported to PC, which again, consumer-based, but I've read articles that is not an easy thing to do. To take all the coding and all that stuff for a console and to make it PC-related. I've played Steam games that are ported, and they load and they play fine.
Right.
And you were given a multi-billion-dollar franchise, the Halo, and you're just going to be like, oh, well, we tried our best. Here's a
Right.
free $5 game for all our
Right.
screw ups.
Yeah, and I mean, and it's embarrassing. To me, if I was out in the job market, I would be embarrassed to work for 343.
I
right
would
now.
too. I would too.
I would not want to have anything to do with them. And again with the huge slap in the face to them. I mean, they've worked on it. It's not like we're still playing day one release. We're not. We're playing a slightly better version
Because
so
you
that's
can't play day one release.
right.
It was unplayable.
Right. But so that's kind of my sympathy turn to it. But I mean,
I still hate them.
I still hate them.
I still
I
hate
still
them.
hate them as a company. They need to get their act together
Hmm.
and make a game where you can play cooperatively without 3 literal seconds of lag.
Right. And
Every
a first
other
person
game
shooter,
company,
it's unplayable.
every other game company, even the ones that make these terrible indie games. And again, I'm not crapping on indie game as the genre. I'm just saying that there are some bad ones out there.
Sure.
You can play co-op just fine.
Yep.
What is 343's deal? What is their excuse?
Well, I know we're getting towards the end here. I don't know if we want to hit on a lot of stuff, but do you think it's because they have this next blockbuster, Halo 5 Guardians, come out, and they're just 100% focused on that? Because I remember playing that beta, which was another thing that we were given, buying the Halo Master Chief Collection. That beta played better than the Master Chief Collection did. So do you think all of their attention is focused to this, and they're just like, whatever, we already got the money, we already got the followers, it's Halo, we can't screw up?
Yeah, well, and I can actually go a little bit longer. I don't know how long you wanted to. I know we've been doing the hour, but I can actually go for another
Let's do this.
half hour.
Let's do it.
Yeah,
Let's
so
do it.
We'll extend this podcast a little bit late today. So continuing on. Okay, so you sit there and you say that we're putting 110% into Guardians, which is Halo 5, and we don't give a flying flip about the Master Chief Collection. If that is the case, that's ballsy, because you're listening to two people that I'm perfectly content with Halo 1, Halo 2. That's it. Like,
I'm going to dare to say
content.
this. I even loved Halo Reach.
Yeah, that's the thing. I'll go back and play Halo Reach before I'll, go and play Halo 3 again.
Sure.
And again, for the story, I'll play all of them for the story.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But as an overall experience, I thought Halo 3 was okay, which that was still made by Bungie.
Right.
And Halo 4 was okay, which was
The
made
story
by
was
343.
awesome. The
story
story
was
was
good.
great. The multiplayer I did not enjoy.
Right. But, to sit here and at least bring back 2 of these highly rated titles, Halo 1, Combat Evolved,
Mm-hmm.
and Halo 2, and to just say, screw it, it's Halo, we can't mess up.
We say it might be ballsy, but at the same time, I feel like it's not, because they still have this massive, massive fan base, and us including. What did I go out and buy 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
Another Xbox, and I had to get the Master Chief Collection bundle because I needed to play Halo, even though I've already played it and I knew it wasn't great.
But here's the thing,
I still
though.
needed to
Here's
play
the thing,
it.
though. You say that you needed to get the Xbox One Master Chief Collection bundle. You say that. You have no other choice. It's either that or you can buy the $500 Assassin's Creed bundle. So that's the thing, though, because, and again, I know we're getting back on our love for Microsoft. I'm a bit upset with them on this because obviously Microsoft owns the Halo franchise.
Yeah, it's published by them.
343 works for Microsoft.
Yeah,
So for
343
Microsoft
developer
to
and
have let this
Microsoft publisher.
happen, shame.
Yeah,
Shame
it
on
really
Microsoft
is.
for letting that happen. Because this whole thing has been just a huge atrocity.
So,
It's terrible.
would you agree with that statement then? That we would both agree that maybe 343 is just focusing on this Halo 5?
I want to say I hope so, and I also want to say that I hope not. because I want to say I hope so for the sake that because I swear, if I buy, because I'm going to buy Halo 5 Guardians.
Mine deserved.
If this is a pile of garbage,
I'll be done with Halo until 343 gets off of it.
Yeah, I swear. And that's the thing. I will be done with 343 as a game company.
That's what I mean.
If that means that they're going to keep making Halo, then I will not.
Then I'm done with Halo.
I'll pick it up if it's at a friend's place or something like that, just to give it a whirl. But I will not spend my money, at least at full price.
Right.
If it tanks and it goes down way cheap, and for the sake of living, I just got to have a copy of it. I'll buy it at bargain bin price. I'm not gonna give them $60 of my hard-earned money to play garbage.
Right.
And it's just not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen.
And I hope. I mean, for what we played at the beta, I did have a good. It felt like Halo with the new gen first-person shooter aspects were built into it too. But it still felt like Halo, and it played pretty well from when we played together. So I'm hoping that it actually is the game that they want it to be and that the fans want it to be.
Yeah.
Like we just said, for the sake of the Halo franchise, because we cannot be the only two people or two Halo fans that are going to be done with 343 if it's the exact same thing as the Halo Master Chief launch. And I have proof of that because you can go read on the forums and everybody is pissed.
Right.
Go on their Facebook page, go on the Waypoint forums. And honestly, we have a right to be, because we have laws out there. If you go buy a car and it doesn't work, it's called the Lemon Law. A dealership can't sell you a non-working vehicle, but we can still buy non-working video games.
Right.
And I feel like we're going to, as a game community, we're going to start showing that we're not going to be buying this. And I honestly hope for the Halo franchise that 343 actually gets their head out of their ass and does a good job with Guardians.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing. It's like, after the terrible launch of all of this, ultimately I do hope that Halo 5 Guardians is worth picking up and playing. But here's the thing. I love playing co-op, and I will be extremely upset. And I can probably expect it already that the online co-op for Halo 5 Guardians
won't work.
Will be garbage. And that's going to deeply upset me. Now, if the multiplayer is still a fun experience, then, I'll still be mad, but I'll go on and play. But yeah, I just don't know. I don't know what to expect, really. I just really hope that it works and it's not the Master Chief Collection what it's been
so far.
Through. Yeah. But anyway, so that's our takes on that. Now we're gonna go back over to the company that we love, which is Bungie, and we're gonna talk about some Destiny for just a few minutes here. So I said earlier on in the podcast that I reacquired my Xbox One copy of Destiny because
I got it again.
Because Luke got it again, and a good buddy of his named Brett got an Xbox and got a copy of the game as well. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to get back on there and play with them. Bit of background, I'm actually playing the majority of my Destiny experience on PlayStation 4, and I have done so since February. And hopping back into Xbox One for Destiny, I was actually kind of surprised that I just wasn't quite having the same experience as I was on PS4. Mm-hmm. Now, some people may say that, it's because there's exclusive content on the PS4 versus the Xbox One copy. And I got to say, I don't feel like that's it, because for some of their exclusive things, they're not that great.
Yeah.
And, it's not stuff that I care about or that wavers my decision. Mm-hmm. But I just don't know if it's the environment or what, but I kind of found that interesting to me, that while I'll still play it on Xbox One with them and everything, I have to say that playing it on PS4 just gives me a better overall experience.
Do you think it's because we haven't played... I'm trying to figure out how to word this. So when we first started playing Destiny on the Xbox One, that's where the first game we started playing, that's how we met and everything. We were playing a lot of the story. We were playing a lot of the We were doing bounties together. We were going out. We were doing the raids. We were doing all this stuff. And then the only time that we've played since I've picked up the copy is Crucible and maybe a couple easy things here and there. We haven't really dove back into their actual grind.
Yeah, I think
because we haven't played any of the expansion yet together. You know, we haven't tried those trials or what. You know, I don't even know much about that because I haven't actually had a chance to play them myself. But we haven't done that. We haven't enjoyed what all of Destiny on the Xbone again since I've gotten my copy.
Yeah,
it's kind of been like a catch up almost.
Yeah, and I think that's fair. And I think when you and that's ultimately I think the issue when owning a game. The same game for multiple platforms, you do put a little bit more of your time and effort into one, and I feel like I can't share that to the Xbox One copy because I sit here and I do all of this stuff within the PS4 environment, and then I come over here to the Xbox One environment and I'm like, oh, well, crap! I just did all of this. Like,
sure,
And while that is the name of the game, it's
not Destiny. It's a grind.
Yeah, it's not necessarily one thing that you may want to complete on the PS4 and then seconds later of turning on your Xbox, be like, all right, because that's the thing for hardcore Destiny players. Let's say you're already doing it on 3 characters for the PS4 copy, and then you immediately hop over
and do it for 3 more characters on the Xbox. 3 more
characters on the Xbox One copy. It's that. To that point, it gets daunting.
Sure.
And at that point, it turns into a chore. So, yeah, I think that's probably
a little bit of it.
A good way to state that is that it's it's just that I put all of this time and effort playing on PS4 that by the time I hop on to play with you guys, things like Crucible and stuff are okay, but it's a different experience because
sure.
I don't have a reason, and not saying that you guys aren't a reason enough, but as a game, I haven't really found a reason to pick up this one over the PS4 copy quite yet.
Sure. Well, let's do this. Let's put this on the list for things to talk about, and then maybe this week between the next podcast, from here and there, we'll do more of the objective, and we'll get that Destiny community grind feeling back that we used to have, and then we'll talk about it next week and see if things have changed.
Yeah. I mean, that would be interesting to keep up with. So I know that, and we'll segue into this in a second because that'll be when we get off Destiny. But so Luke was away last week, and they had this event going on in Destiny called the Iron Banner, which is essentially multiplayer, but your armor stats and your weapon stats are face value. And I know some people are kind of thinking like, oh, well, isn't that the multiplayer already? No. Standard Crucible puts everybody down to an even playing field. That means your stats and your weapons will reflect a certain value that, Bungie's developers have stated for that multiplayer game. Iron Banner removes all the stops. So your armor, if your total armor stat is 15k plus, then that's reflected. If your weapon can do 331 damage with a high rate of fire, you're going to be dishing out that much damage at that rate of fire, and so on and so forth. So obviously with this event, you earn reputation just for that event. You then spin that into rewards. So the higher rep you get, the more rewards that are unlocked for you that you can purchase with the in-game currency, and yada, yada, yada. So I did not go into the Crucible as a level 34 because that is the cap right now from the current expansion, excuse me. And I was going in as a 31. Okay. So with this, I was actually coming into some pre-made groups, that being that I wasn't going in with complete random, so to speak. They were new to me, but we still went in as a team, not matchmaking other randos. So I go in there, and of course, the feedback for my low level, so to speak, is very negative.
Sure.
Basically, they were telling me to piss off. And the person that had invited me, kind of had my back. He was like, hey, he and I had played some matches there a little while ago, and he kicked butt and all
Holds
this
his
other
own.
stuff. Yeah. So for me, confrontation, negative comments and things like that, I don't, because I'm not looking to rile up and start stuff.
Sure.
So I stay quiet.
That's why you play games, to cool
Yeah.
down and relax.
Yeah. So the last thing that I want to do is get into a screaming match with some guy that lives in the United States somewhere that I care nothing for.
Right.
So I keep my mouth shut, and they're, of course, they're very reluctantly like, okay, well, I mean, if he dies a lot and gets angry, like it's not our fault, and I'm sitting here thinking to myself, like, let's just play, let's just do this. It's a game. So we get in, and mind you, that all of these guys are the highest level that you can be, which is 34. For six, because we played for a really long time, for 6-7 matches in a row, and I'm tooting my own horn, and I'm not making this up, top of the team leaderboard every game.
Nice.
I had the highest KD, with my KD always at least being over a 1.85.
Wow.
Yeah, and here are all these 34s that came in here talking smack to me, and now they're eating their own words. And what was satisfying was after the first match, they, the leader, because I'm sitting here, I'm watching it, I'm waiting for it, because I know that I did well. I
Sure.
didn't need a scoreboard to tell me that. I was putting these guys on my team to shame. So we win.
And if they can talk shit before, they should be able to say something.
Right.
After,
So,
right.
so I'm sitting here, I'm waiting to see if their tones change or see what they say. So, we dominate the enemy team, and it goes to the leaderboard. And I think that first match I had a 3.0 plus, and the next guy down maybe had like a 1.05. And so, they're sitting there and they're talking about the match and da-da-da-da-da. And the timer for the next match is about to start. And I'm like, wow, these guys are not going to be humble.
Right.
They're just going to be straight buttholes, and and just keep to themselves. And finally, and I was surprised, the guy that actually initiated the trash talk was actually like, well, man, like, look at this 31. Like, and he said to the guy that brought me in, he was like, man, you weren't kidding. Like, he
Right.
held his own. And again, just to, because I'm not that guy to be like, yeah, that's right. What now? Like, you can shut up. Like, I just stayed quiet because I didn't have to. I let the game talk for me.
Right.
Instead of me going out here thinking that I'm, some big bad dude. I was like, the game can just talk for me now. So, the thing is that with the Iron Banner, even though, you could be like a couple levels under or 3 levels under, if you have the right weapons, then you can hold your own. Like, now I will say that I had a highly recommended weapon for that Iron Crucible. Well, aside from Thorn, which is another topic for another day.
OP, yeah.
I had another handgun called the Last Word, and I had that pretty much max level. And that's the thing. While my armor may have been low, as long as I can be a good shot and their armor's A-okay or under par, then that Last Word handgun is just going to decimate them. And that's exactly what was happening. And, aside from that, just have a little bit of teamwork, and you can be an underdog team going into Iron Banner and just wreck shop if you wanted to. So that's a little bit of the Iron Banner and everything. So while I'm sitting here, having a good time on Iron Banner and getting some rep and stuff, Luke over here was gone
back
for
home
a whole week. And why don't you tell us what happened?
Well, my younger brother actually got married, so I'm actually from Illinois. I think we said that in the very beginning of the podcast for a pilot episode. So I went back there for a week. We flew out, me and my fiance, and we saw him. Again, younger brother, so he beat me to it because I'm still engaged. But he got married. He already has a kid. It was actually really nice. It was a small outdoor kind of a country style, and I air quoted that. kind of a wedding, with the cowboy boots and all that. But it turned out very nice, and it was nice seeing family. But there's always something about coming home, and as I mentioned, home, it's coming back to my apartment. It's just when you miss things. Even though I was technically back home, where I grew up, I still missed being back here.
Sure.
And that could have been just me just not talking or playing video games or whatever the case may be, being super nerd. But it was a nice time. But I'm glad to be back.
Well, I mean, it's not just playing games or talking. It's just your environment. You're breaking out of your shell for a week.
Mm-hmm.
For a full week, you're somewhere completely new, even if it's a place where you grew up. But it's I mean, it's good to get away from from everything for a little while. But,
right.
But yeah, so it's just weddings in general is always kind of a and I don't know, because were you in the wedding, or were you just?
I was.
Okay.
I was a groomsman, and I wasn't the best man. And my mom asked me, she was actually like, "Does that upset you because it's your brother?" And I said no, because a little bit of background on that. My brother and I were never close growing up. I know I can't say it was the age difference, because I know a lot of people my age have the three-year age difference with their siblings, and they're close as close can be. We were just completely night and day.
Right.
He was the more, I guess, outdoorsy type. He liked the sports. He liked getting, going out, getting dirty, going fishing. And I was more of the indoor. I just want to sit and play my games and get on the computer, or even just read a book.
Yeah.
So we were just very different. But recently, I would say in the past, ever since I probably moved out here, so last 4 years, we've actually become close. So I was actually not. I was like, Mom, no, it's fine that I'm not his best man. Honestly, he wouldn't be mine. So
right.
It would have been weird if I was, because how do I break that news to him when he's not mine? But I don't have to worry about that now.
Right.
But
he was the one to break that ice.
Yes, he broke that
first.
ice. So I'm actually glad he got married first, because it makes me not have to have that conversation. But
That's good.
But it's good being. It was good being back. It was good being in the wedding, but we wish we would have. Me and my fiance talked about it. We wish we would have done like a Wednesday to Wednesday, because the wedding was on Saturday, and we got there Monday. So we got there Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, even Saturday morning before the wedding. There was just so much to do for the wedding, and we didn't know that all this stuff still needed to be done.
Yeah.
We figured you've had like 8 months since you sent out. You knew you were getting married. We thought a little bit more would have been done, which is fine. I'm not, saying that they should have had more done or whatever, but we didn't get to spend a lot of time with my parents, which is a big reason why I wanted to go back, because we haven't had the best relationship, really over the past probably 9 or 10 years. So we had a very small window to speak with them, and we just would have, wish we would have done because, of course, him and my brother and his now wife went on their honeymoon after. It would have been nice to have 3 or 4 days with just my parents, as opposed to the wedding party and all the extra bridesmaids and groomsmen and getting everything ready and all that stuff.
Right. Yeah, not doing so much of the setup and more just being with family. Yeah.
Yeah, just I really feel bad for my fiance, because she works from home. She works all the time. She doesn't get paid time off. So when she takes a week off, she actually has to work that entire week to get everything ready for the wedding, instead of having an honest to God break or vacation.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was still nice. It was nice to be back. So it was nice to see him, and nice to see my brother happy, and it was a good time.
Yeah. Good deal. Yeah. So that was Lou living real world, as I was sitting in front of a computer screen playing video games. But anyway, so, well, I guess another kind of a real world thing that I have done, not so much just recently, but kind of like some last year and stuff, is I'm actually helping my girlfriend learn how to drive a manual transmission right now. Her mom is currently stationed in Japan. Her mom and her dad, actually. So her mom drove, while she was in the States, drove a BMW, convertible BMW, but it's manual. And my girlfriend currently drives a I'm not sure of the year, Miata, and it's just worn down.
Automatic transmission.
Yeah, automatic. Right, in lies the problem. But basically, long story short, it's time to relinquish the Miata of its services, and so without her having to turn around and spend money on a
On a new car.
she's just going to get the BMW, which I'm super jealous about.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, but of course, it does come with a price, and that's learning how to drive manual transmission. So,
Right.
As if you couldn't figure out by the context, I drive a manual transmission, a Ford Focus, actually, which I'm needing to be getting in the vehicle here before too long because we just wear these down to the bone. So, she started learning, I guess, sometime last gosh, I don't even know, like not even so much last year as it was the year before, probably about summer of 2013. And then of course her parents, because her dad also drove a manual transmission Miata,
Mm-hmm.
and so they would kind of teach her every now and again. But I don't know. I guess I'm a good teacher because every time that I've gone out and had her practice and everything, it's gone very well.
Smoothly?
Yeah, so I took her out to the, actually it's the high school that she and I both went to and graduated from. We went to the parking lot there and practiced for probably, a good hour and a half. I mean, almost even 2 hours. And with her, I think she's only practiced in that BMW like maybe one other time.
Okay.
And again, I'm basing this on her previous knowledge of practicing. She took to it really well. I was really surprised. Like we did the basically stop and go. We did a sort of a lurking.
That's always the hardest.
Yeah.
Stop
Getting
and
out
go.
of first, if you can get out of first,
You got it.
successfully, the rest is cake.
Right.
And so we
that and parking on a hill when you're on a hill, you got to give that
which
extra gas.
we did do a little bit of an incline, which she took pretty well to that too. I don't think I wouldn't have her go out on a crowded street right now and do it on a hill.
Right.
But I think I think if everything was just flat terrain, I think she would actually be okay to actually drive out on the road.
Now, what is her, I guess, mentality of it? Is she scared?
She definitely was at first.
Okay.
And she's still in that phase where if it dies, she gets really anxious, which is better than freaking out because she doesn't.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, she doesn't
like
full-blown,
stomp on the pedal or something.
Yeah, she doesn't she doesn't do a full blown like freak out or anything, but she does get anxious. So I tell her, I'm like, well, we're just practicing, so just take a second,
Sure.
But what was great is by the end of it, what I would actually do is I would sit here and be like, okay, so you're at a red light, and I'm going to tell you when it turns green because you don't know when it's going to turn green, and you have 5 seconds to get the
going.
best rolling start as you can. And she's like, okay, and so we did that, and she took really well to that, and but of course, obviously, there were a couple times where. Because I think that's the thing with learning a manual transmission is you have to stay humble always.
Oh yeah.
Like you can't sit until you've really done this for years, and it really is just muscle memory,
second nature.
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah, and you have to stay humble 100% of the time. And so what would happen is after a few times of getting really good starts and things like that, she would kill it, and so then I would be like, okay, so now. Imagine that there's somebody behind you, and this time during this string, if you kill it, you have I'll restart 5 seconds to calmly turn the car on and keep going. And so we did that a few times when she would mess up, and she took really well to that too. So I think that before too long, she'll be driving this BMW, which is a better car than what I have. But hey, I got to drive it to and from the high school, so that was fun.
What kind of is it a Z series?
I couldn't even. It's just
is it a 2-seater?
It is a like a coupe, so it's a two-door, but
But there's four
there's
seats.
4 seats.
Okay,
But
because
it's
I was just asking because the Beamer my father has is I think it's the Z,
mhm.
as in Zebra series, and it's only a two-seater.
Right,
But it's
right,
also
right.
convertible,
I
so I
don't.
didn't know if it was the
I
same
was gonna
car.
say I don't know if it's that. I don't. I mean, I want to say sporty, but I guess that's probably not right to say. But
Mhm.
yeah. I mean, it's definitely. It looks more of like their sedan, but it is just a two-door. But there are 4 seats.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, it's super nice, and I think before too long she's gonna get the hang of it. I mean, next time we go and do this, which may very well even be tomorrow, I do definitely want her to get on the road. Because I
Yeah.
told her, I was
Get
like,
some real world
you
experience.
can't stay in the parking lot and get where you need
Nope.
to go.
Not gonna get you far.
Yeah, yeah. But anyway, so that was, I felt like that was kind of something successful to share.
To share.
Yeah.
Sure.
So anyway, I guess we're almost kind of, I guess, wrapping up here.
Sure.
I guess real quick, bring it back a little bit nerdy here, and maybe finish off with a couple more video game things. So again, so you just got your Xbox less than a month ago. You got your buddy Brett to get an Xbox,
Yep.
so you all could play. And so Brett is somebody that you grew up with, right?
Yeah, we went to school together. I mean, he went to Leroy the whole time I did, but we didn't actually get close until I was a senior, and he's a year behind me, so he was a junior.
Gotcha.
So senior year of high school, might have been even junior year or senior year of my high school is when we got close.
Right.
And then when I graduated, we became super close. And then, just moving and everything, we
Yeah.
lost touch.
Yeah,
But video
so-
games allow you to get that back.
Exactly. So with this came the rebuying and replaying of Destiny. So how coming back from such a long gap and playing with somebody new, how do you think the game is treating you?
I had to say, at first, I was not excited. I was excited again because I was away for a week. I had gotten the game shipped from Amazon, and it was waiting at my doorstep the day before we left. So I didn't have time to install the game and play it before I left. So it was more of like the anticipation because I was at home on vacation for a week, and I knew this game was waiting for me.
Right.
So when I put it in, I don't know if my expectations were just so high, but it was not that genuine, like, this is so awesome again. But yesterday I wasn't playing with anyone for a while, and I was looking at all the games I have installed on my PC and all the games I have downloaded on the Xbone, and I looked over and Destiny was sitting there, and I was like, I'm just going to try it again. And it brought back a lot.
Yeah.
I played through the new expansion, the House of Wolves. So it was like a whole new, kind of a whole new experience. And it's not the same as it was. And again, I think that's going back to maybe just the community that we had playing, with me, you, and Chris.
Right.
We just don't have that. And then, of course, Brett has not gotten to the level where I'm at, so we can't really do a whole lot together yet. So it might change. Again, that's something that we can talk about next week, because maybe we can talk about how your feelings have shifted, maybe, or if they haven't shifted from Xbox One to PS4.
Right.
With all of us playing, because I know he is level 20 now, so we can start getting him up to speed. And maybe that'll change everything. Maybe it'll be like it used to. So that's definitely a point we should connect back on in the following maybe couple podcasts. Maybe like make it a whole string of things and see how it all changes.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's something to hit back on and kind of do a where their lives are at now sort of segment.
Sure.
And yeah, because like I said, Destiny is one of those games where it's a fickle thing where sometimes you either love it or you hate it. And
yeah, and maybe we can even bring Brett on for a couple minutes next time and see what his take as a brand new player, and not even as a brand new player.
Late in its release too.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like, not even a brand new player, but a player that is. You're coming into the base game after 2 expansions have been.
Yeah. Well, and that,
released.
and seeing because here's the thing, it's like he didn't even get to experience like the lack of vault space or the
Right.
ability to lock weapons from being
Accidentally
mistakenly dismantled and things like that. Like, yeah, so I mean, kind of do one of those things where it's like, you
Get
know,
a new perspective take
Right.
on Destiny.
right,
Yeah,
right.
maybe we'll talk to him and see if he can't share his 2 cents.
There you go. So hey guys, keep an ear open, man. We may have a special guest on the podcast.
Special guest coming out.
Yeah, but all right. So I mean, yeah, that marks at about an hour and a half. So that's pretty good for our
Yeah, definitely.
extended edition.
Yeah, and I feel again, if you guys want to leave feedback, I think we should probably make a Twitter account, or maybe a Facebook. I don't know, maybe something will coming out. But if we actually get some viewers on here, we'd like to get your guys' feedback and everything. So maybe we can actually open up a social network. Does SoundCloud allow that? Or no?
I don't know that we can. Well, I mean, if they have I'm pretty sure if they have a SoundCloud account, I'm pretty sure that they can make comments on the recording.
Okay,
So as they're
but not
listening
as
to
like
it,
a general, not as a general.
I don't think
We'll
so.
we'll have to look into it.
Yeah.
I don't think so either. But I have not. This is my first time messing with SoundCloud, so I'm
Right.
not exactly sure. But
Right.
that's something to look out for. Maybe we can just make a Twitter account, and we can maybe get some feedback through there.
Yeah, and I mean, to say that things really explode, we could perhaps even start doing like live streams
Yeah,
of
definitely.
the podcast, and then but of course that'll be like
Right.
slim to none. But a boy can dream. But
That's
anyway,
right.
we appreciate you all for listening to episode 2, and hope that you'll be back for the upcoming one. So until then, take care, guys.
Take care.